Hey folks, in this video we're going to be learning about decision logic, which is a very important step in our Python journey. It's going to allow us to write a program that can make decisions, hence the name decision logic. And what that means is we'll have a program that can take information in, which is what's called an input, look at it, make a decision, and spit out something called an output. Put information in, we get something out. It's called decision logic. And it is a fundamental part of the video game. So it could be something as simple as the code that we have here, which is just really asking, like, what's your favorite animal? Or we could make it even more complicated, say, where would you like to go in the world? Would you like to pick up an item? How are you going to interact with an enemy? That sort of thing. So let's break down this diagram here a bit. This is what's called a decision tree. And it's just a visual way of showing, like, this is a program we would like to make. And what we have here is, to begin with, we have a variable called favorite animal that we're going to be working with, and we've assigned the information dog to it as a string. And what the program's going to do is it's going to look at that string information, dog, and it's going to decide, it's going to compare it against some of the logic that we have set up. So the first statement is saying, if our favorite animal is dog, well, it is, then we're going to print, I like dogs. Dogs are really cool. I really like dogs. Okay. Now, if I was to change this information here to cats, the program is going to grab that information and it's going to have a look around, and it will come up to here and say, well, our favorite animal is cats. I'm going to print, I'm allergic to cats. We can't be friends. Right? Cats suck. Sorry. All right. Further on, if we were to say, I really like fish, and you probably get the picture where we're going to be going. The program's going to be looking at fish, comparing against a bunch of things. It's not going to be dog. It's not going to be cats. Aha, here we go. We've got the term fish. So we're going to say fish are pretty cool. All right. Can't really do much with them, but you can look at them. They're kind of pretty. The last thing that we'll look at is, well, let's say our player's a bit cooked and they just mumble a bunch of nonsense. All right? Like skibidi riz type stuff. Well, that's not a dog, it's not a cat, it's not a fish, it's something else entirely. And what's going to happen is we're going to print, I don't understand. You just need to tell me your animal, okay? And that's the program that we want to go through. All right. Let's look at a few other details. What we have here is we have these double equal signs here. Okay, we've got a double equal sign here, we have a double equal sign here, and we've got a double equal sign here. A double equal sign is not the same as one equal sign. One equal sign, we use it for variables. This does not stand for assignment, it stands for comparison. And what it's doing is it's comparing, in this case, a variable against some information here. And this double equal sign is comparing the variable against some information here. And this one is comparing this variable against some information here. You get the picture. It stands for comparison, so it's not a variable. What else can we see? Well, we've also got our double dots here, which previous lesson we learned, if we have a double dot, that means we're going to be talking about something's going to be indented. It means some code is going to be linked to it. It means it's a header. We're talking about compound statements. So far, so good. The other thing that we can see is that we have this sort of new language here. We've got an if, an elif, another elif, and an else statement. Let's break these down. They all pretty much do the same thing. They're so close to each other. They're really just saying, if this statement is true, do this. If this statement is true, do this. If this statement is true, do this. That's sort of how it works. But there's a bit of a nuance with this. When we are setting this up, we can only ever use one if statement. We can use as many elif statements as we want. It could be 2, it could be 6 or 7, it could be 5 billion. And you can only have one else statement. So I'll write that down here because it is important. Only one if statement, only one if, as many elif and only one else. If you follow that, things will be pretty sweet. All right, let's have a look at writing our program into PyCharm. So, to begin with, we had our favorite animal equals, we're going to say it's dog to begin with, okay? And let's start our code. We had an if statement, if favorite animal, double equals dog. I just hit tab, by the way, to do that. We've got this statement here, we've got our colon, and I'm going to hit enter, and it's already indented for me. Life is pretty good. And we had something like, I really like dogs. Dogs too. They can do tricks. Okay. Now just double check. I've got my statement here. I've got my my comparison, my double equal sign here. I've got my colon, and this line has been indented here. So again, this, as we learned last lesson, is a compound statement I've made. They're linked together. That's what that means. All right. Now let's move on. Can I write another if statement? No, you can only have one. So now we're moving on to elif, which is just short for else if. It's just a kind of a fancy way of saying an if statement. But we'll talk about that a little bit more in detail later. So we've got cat. I don't like cats because they are really moody and scratch me all the time. Okay. Again, this is a compound statement because I've got my semicolon and we have indented the line within it. Okay, life is good. We've got our header, and we've got our suite of code. That's pretty sweet. Okay, let's do another one. elif, favorite animal, and I just hit tab there to grab it all, but we can change it to fish. Hit again, print. Fish are really cool. All right, and last but not least, we're going to have our else statement. And the else statement's actually a little bit different. I don't have to do a double comparison. Well, if you do, you'll get it wrong. You don't put the double comparison. We don't have to put variables. It's just whatever else. And so all I have to do is just hit enter and say print. I don't understand what you're saying. You're saying, I need an animal, please. All right. So we just fix that up. Okay, things are looking pretty indented. They're all lined up. Best thing is we just run it. We'll see if there's an error. Okay, so I'm going to hit run. I really like dogs too. They can do tricks. Whoa, program works. Okay, that's what I wanted there. Let's test it out. Let's type in cat. Let's run it. I don't like cats because, yep, that's pretty sweet. We'll do fish. Yep. And if I was to type a whole bunch of nonsense, and we hit run, excellent. Okay. Now, we can make this a little bit more nuanced. We could do input, what is your favorite animal? Like that. So now we can actually ask a question from the player. So if I run it, what is your favorite animal? We could type dog. I really like dogs too, they can do tricks. Brilliant. Let's just unpack a few common errors that can happen with this. The most common one is, because we're dealing with compound statements, is we could do things like remove the colon, right? And if I was to run it, error, okay? But PyCharm's got our back, saying like, look, line 3, syntax error, we're expecting a colon. Okay, that's pretty good too. Indentation, right? Let's just say we don't indent. We run it, indentation error, expect an indented block. Because it's saying, look, this is a compound statement we're trying to create. Why have you not indented the code? That's pretty sweet. Another thing is like, that's sort of not as common, is maybe like stuff could be even a bit more indented outwards, and you get really weird things like that. And so the setup is, if you want all these statements to belong to sort of the original question, they all have to be aligned. They all have to be sort of indented within each other. But that's really sort of just the common one. Oh, and here's another one. if you say you did a capital E for elif, it doesn't like that. It's always got to be lowercase. So if I was to run it there, invalid syntax. What have I got? Oh yeah, cat. Yeah, that's the one there. So always keep it lowercase. PyCharm will tell you if it's good because it will be blue right there. So that's blue. We've got here. What else can go wrong? You could miss your double equal sign there. You could just have a single equal sign. It's even highlighted under red, but let's just give it a whirl. Yeah, there you go. Maybe you meant double equal sign or, yeah, blah, blah, blah. It's giving us the line so we can just fix that up. So those are sort of really common problems that can happen. All right, cheers.